Welcome back, everyone, to Lesser Known Operators. I'm your host, Nicholas Allen, and my guest today is Robert Toombs. While having never served in the military or have been an operator, Robert and I met when I was working in Western North Carolina during the hurricane recovery efforts in 2024. He invited me on his podcast, and after that, I returned back up here to Wisconsin and started my own. So this is part of the origin story of Lesser Known Operators. He inspired me to do more with my abilities, my voice, and the people that I know. So thank you very much, Robert, for helping me along on my path. He is also the founder, creator, and curator of the Mountain Readiness Expo, which takes place in Western North Carolina. Upcoming dates for that are the 17th, 18th, and 19th in Harmony, North Carolina. Homesteading, mountain readiness, skills that you should have while living on your own place, roving chickens, tanning hides, safety, security, shooting, all kinds of classes. Make sure you look them up at Mountain Readiness on Instagram. I'll have links to their website and socials in the show description. Also, make sure if you are in the North Carolina area, October 17th and 18th of 2025, come out and see me. I will be out there all day, most of the day, 17th and the 18th. Then I got to move on my cross-country trip. Stop by, say hello, might even record some content. Today's episode is brought to you by the Green Beret-owned business Precision Wellness Group and Dr. Taylor Bosley. Precision Wellness Group helps you restore balance, fuel your momentum through bioidentical hormone therapy and evidence-based, personalized telemedicine. Dr. Taylor Bosley is a board-certified physician, a U.S. Army veteran, and a former Green Beret, and an actual doctor who can prescribe you actual medicine. That's a bonus. So if TRT, HRT, hormone replacement therapy, testosterone replacement therapy, peptides are something you've been looking into for a while now, or just starting to peek into, look no further than Precision Wellness Group in Southern Pines, North Carolina, in person or telemedicine, coming to a town near you. Today's episode is also brought to you by Alpha Elite Performance. Use code LKO15 at checkout at alphaeliteperformance.com to save 15% on your supplements for the gym. I recommend the pre-workout. I do appreciate you guys. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, pass these episodes along. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Robert Toombs, welcome to Lesser Known Operators, man. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely, man. It's an honor. It's an honor because I was never an operator. So to be invited on Lesser Known Operators is that's pretty awesome. That is awesome to say the least.
When we met, you knew more operators than I did. I was still cut off from the community up in Wisconsin, living in my own post-alcoholic fog. And then we're coming up on the anniversary now of going down to North Carolina after the hurricane. And you were more connected to the community than I was. And it's been for good. I went, this guy's got a show and he's talking to the people I want to know. Why don't I do that? And then I said, well, yeah, Nick, why don't we do that? And now here we are on my show talking to you about your show and what you got going on. So really, and the beauty is it's my show. I can do whatever the fuck I want. And you're special operations adjacent. I say that they're special operations adjacent. A huge contingent of what you've got going on are vendors from the special operations community. So it fits right in with what I've got going on because there's people that are going to listen that go, I'd like to go to that. And that helps you out and that helps me out. So,
hey, I'll take what I can get. That's for sure. But no, it is awesome. I remember working that fob, working there for for Hurricane Helene when we met. When we did that podcast together, that live stream, as soon as you started speaking, I was like, why is this guy not doing this all the time? The voice itself, just the voice itself, not including all the coolness that you have along with it, but the voice alone, I was like, this guy, and then we started talking. You were like, yeah, I do, exercise, fitness videos, but I've gotten away from it. And I was like, nah, you gotta get back to this. And then come to find out all these people that the cross pollination between what you're doing, what I'm doing, it's phenomenal. I love what you're doing too, man. You have grown leaps and bounds. You're putting out some great content.
I really appreciate that. Yeah, the the problem, sorry, swallowed something. The problem was the self-talk and the talking myself down for many years. I go on, man, you sound like a dork. When I would hear myself from recording, I'd be like, you sound like an idiot. And some of that's not wanting to have people listen to me because, if you're in the spotlight, then especially with the culture from special operations, it's quiet professionals or silent professionals. And that really hurts you when you get on the outside of, oh, I can't stick my head up, otherwise people are going to tell me to shut the fuck up. And it's interesting. We're at a certain level of performance when we're in, and then we like lose it and just kind of go, oh no, I was just a Green Beret. Like, what the fuck? Like, like, that's pretty impressive. And I tell everybody now, I'm like, people be like, oh, I was just an MP or I was just a cook. Like, don't do that. Don't talk yourself down. Like, be proud of what you did. And that getting away from the drinking and stopping myself from doing that, from putting myself down. Everybody else, other people are going to do that for me. I don't need to give them a head start on it. So, yeah, it's a.
I got to ask because, and I know we talked quite a bit there when we were at the fob because there was nothing else to do. I mean,
All right, listen, yeah. So for context on that, we did what they asked us to do. It's and
absolutely.
out there. It's just it was not glorious work, but it was important, and we didn't let things get fucked up. So I
Important and fulfilling, and the important part was is we were there to help people. That was what it was about. But it was long days. It was long days, and so a lot of times we would try to amuse ourselves by speaking back and forth and talking about things of our lives and stuff. And so I mean, I know this is your podcast, but I'm so used to asking people questions because doing my lives, it's like, is it just because I'm not a Green Beret? I've never was before I could ever. I tried to go into the Army, and I had this little accident when I was 12 that involved a very large firecracker. We'll just leave it like that. And so nobody would take me during peacetime, and then life happened, and children happen, and jobs, and the next thing you know, it was done. Um, so I never lived that part, but operating at that high level that you guys all do. And the same I know with, Carl Erickson, Sularu, all the guys from Tactical Riflemen that I hang out with and that are part of the Mountain Readiness platform. Um, it's got to be weird to just be performing at such a high level and then all of a sudden you're out and now what? I mean, is that kind of how things ended up with the drinking and stuff like that? And, is it just that you're used to that high performance, then all of a sudden you don't have it?
I mean, I wasn't. I was building for quite a long time, the whole 5 years when I was in the military. And then when I got hurt, I went to, man, I just have to operate at this decreased capacity now. And I was doing that, and I still got to stay in the job. So I try to stay away from the phrase of like, my path is different. Some other people in the military did my path too. It's not unique. Somebody does the same thing as you all the time. That's just how the military is. Everything happens over and over again. It's just, there might be years apart, but I got to exactly where I wanted to be. That was where I wanted to be. My whole life built towards that pinnacle. And then I had to get out. So I got medically retired, and it ended. And then you go to the civilian world and you get depressed. You're not wearing your uniform anymore. You're not wearing your accolades anymore. You don't have any, because in the military, you'll earn respect, whether you rank up or even in the way you carry yourself. And wearing the uniform is part of that. So when it all goes away and you get put back into a life that you didn't want, for me, 8 years before, I was like, I don't want to be where I'm at. And then I just went right back to it after 8 years with really nothing to show for it that made any sense to anyone. You tell people, "I did this," like, "Oh, that's cool." They don't know what you did. So you don't wanna explain it, you don't wanna explain yourself, so it's just, hmm, I don't know, it's something. I got to a point, it was very hard to get there, and then it was over, and then tough to recover from, very tough to recover from when you don't wanna be where you're going, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
I can feel that. I can feel that. The same, I tried a different career paths, and then, I put 5 years into firefighting. Um, and there was a hiring freeze. I was living in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Hiring freeze for 5 years. They had all the money in the world to spend on some fucking tin art downtown that didn't matter, but they had no money for to hire any more firefighters. And that was my goal then. I was like, man, I'm gonna become a firefighter. This is my thing. So but they had a 6-month academy. And so I'd already certed out. I had fire one and hazmat. I did high angle rope rescue to tech level, the whole bit, and just waiting for that hire freeze to open up so I could become a career firefighter. And then they call me in the first part of December. And at the time, I believe it was, I think it's 35. You couldn't be 35 or you couldn't turn 36 in the academy. So they call me December, which is my birthday. The end of December, I turned 36, and they were like, "Hey, we're ready for you to come in," and I'm like, "Great. Hey, my birthday is the 31st of this month." And like, "Oh, sorry. Well, unfortunately we can't take you," and that was it. And so, for 5 years, all the training, all the hours, which I don't regret it at all because I helped a lot of people. I learned a lot. Um, it was just great to be a part of the department that I was on. But at the same time, it's kind of that swift kick to the balls. You're like, okay, now what? Now what do I do? It's all done.
yeah. Yeah. That that firefighting one gets me because I asked, "Why is there an age cap?" And they said, "Oh, if you start too late, it affects your retirement." And I went,
Yes.
"So you guys are just handicapping who you can hire just because that person might retire as a firefighter? Like, what
Right.
percentage of the people that start with you retire as firefighters?" "Well, I don't know that. I bet it's not very high." Like, so you're just not gonna take qualified people because they're too old and mature, and maybe they know that that's what they wanna do? And he goes, "Yeah, they don't qualify." Okay, so you guys don't okay, so you're a government organization and you just that's the rules and we don't bend them. Okay, I got it. So, perfect. That makes
It
sense.
w- it was a big pisser. It was a big pisser, because the city and I can't look. I like art, but welding a bunch of scrap tin together to make it look like a pile of fucking tin, that ain't art. And at the tune of $100,000 while you're recycling uh, guys who are up for retirement, bringing them in, paying them, time and a half overtime to fill the spots, but there's a hiring freeze, so that's what you have to do. And then I'm, 35 at that time, peak performance. I'm ready to go. Been, 5 years in the making, all the certification. I mean, I had more certifications as a as a volunteer than the guys coming out of the academy with, and even with a couple of years under their belt. And but nope, sorry there, Mr. Toombs, you're too old. So, that was my moment. And that was when we were living in Indiana. And I'd put 5 years into it and I was like, man, that's when I grew my beard out as well. Hair's long, beard, I was all clean shaven. I was like, fuck the world. Done. That's it. I got to figure out something else to do. So quit shaving, quit cutting my hair. And that's when we decided to just leave that city life and move out here to the sticks of Appalachia.
And you're in near Harmony, right?
We're about an hour away. We like you leave our driveway and you're up on the Blue Ridge Parkway in about 6 minutes. So we're literally right off the parkway here in Wilkes County. Good old home of NASCAR, home of moonshine. There was more moonshine came out of these hills than I think any other county in the United States during Prohibition. So it's very cool. Right over in North Wilkesboro, which is the town as we're going towards Harmony, first one. Um, that was the first NASCAR track, and they've actually opened that back up here 2 years ago. So pretty neat. A lot of history around here. Gorgeous country, very diverse. Even with the animal life, we've got just tons of deer, bear. They just reintroduced elk right over in Boone, just 45 minutes from us. So that's cool. Maybe one day I can start hunting elk. I doubt it. I'll probably be too old by that time, but it's a nice thought.
A few years, they'll get big enough. They'll get big enough.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina and Indiana are not the same at all. That's not even close, especially up by Fort Wayne. That's not the same at all.
No.
So when did, because you had spoke a little bit about this down in Hickory, but you had to just wake up one day and say, I want to have an expo. How long had that idea been brooding in your head? Because that you don't just I assume you didn't just sit up out of bed and go, I know what I'll do. I'll get all my friends together and sell shit in the middle of a field.
It was almost like that. So, um, growing up was the start of all of this. My father was a gypsy, and he also decided that he was done with the world when I was born. He'd already lived the biggest a big part of his life. He was 41 years old, 42 when I was born. And so it was a crazy upbringing, and first 15 years was lived we lived in a tent for a year, you know. Lived in I lived in the back of a Ford Ranger for about 6 months, 8 months, something like that. We moved all over the United States. My father was one of these guys that he he used to tell my mother, he had this saying, he said, "I see smoke, Ma." And that meant someone was living too close to us and it was time to move. Can't have any neighbors. My father didn't want to see anyone, hear anyone. It was he had just lived a life and got burned a lot and decided that it was best just to not see people in general. So I'm the oldest of three, and my sister is 3 years younger than I, and my brother is 6 years younger than I, and we were all homeschooled. I mean, we still saw civilization. We still went to Walmart. However, Wally World was like an amusement park when you lived like that. You went in there, you're like, oh wow, what's this? What's this refrigerated, area right here? I mean, we kept butter and milk and stuff down in a stream. That was how you kept it cold. And so lanterns and cooking on campfires and all that kind of stuff. So that was like that was my first 15 years, and traveling around, I got to know a lot of the other homeschooler kids. Back then, we actually wrote, letters, pen pals and stuff like that. There was no texting and things of that nature. So, at 15, I decided it was time to just go out on my own. So I left home, started traveling around and living with different families that I'd met through these homeschooler get-togethers and gatherings, bouncing around doing construction, and I ended up in Fort Wayne, Indiana when I was 17, uh, to take a job with the Amish as a driver for the Amish. And of course, you get to learn trades that way. You drive them around, you pick everybody up in the morning, you go to the job site, you do the job with them, and then you drive everybody home and drop them off. And but that was the 36th state that I'd lived in and like 79 times I'd moved when I was 17 years old. And I'm 47 now, so I've seen a couple moves since then, but I was actually in the Fort Wayne area for roughly 20 years, 20 years before we decided we were done with the big city. And it was just that I'd had a bad day at work. And, Fort Wayne, Indiana, for those who don't know, it's the second largest city in Indiana, right close to the Michigan line, sits right between Detroit and Chicago. It's a main hub for drugs and all kinds of the stupidity. And it was just, we were fighting with the city about our garden. They said our garden was attracting pests. We couldn't have a garden. We couldn't burn firewood. That was against the rules. You have one too many sheds. That's against the rules. And I was like, you know what? Just fuck this. I'm over it. I'm over it. I spent 15 years trying to get out of the sticks, and then I spent the next 20 years trying to get back. And here I am, 10 years later, living here in Appalachia on the homestead. And when we first got here, everybody thinks that if you live, 15 years of your life out in the sticks without electricity and no running water and all these modern conveniences that you're like this top-notch survivalist. Man, that's nowhere near. We were good at starving. That's what we were. Um, we were like the family who just barely made it by just day by day. And so when we moved here, it was like a repeat. I mean, we have electricity, of course, here and running water, but I tried to get back in touch with that 15-year-old of gardening and raising livestock and all this stuff. And I realized, holy shit, man, I have forgotten pretty much so everything of my upbringing. And so we started attending like different get-togethers that were, prepper based, for lack of a better term. And they all sucked. And I said, man, it's got to be something better out here, because all these different events, it was always like, and it's nothing against them. I don't name these events, but it's always like, this event is a homesteading event. So all we do is homesteading, but we don't talk about, anything defense. We don't talk about hunting or trapping. We don't talk about primitive skills, nothing like that. It's not allowed. And then you go to another event, and this is a bushcraft event. You only get to learn about rubbing sticks together. We can't talk about growing food or anything like that. I'm like, man, like our forefathers, they were well-rounded. They were like Green Berets, right? They did it all. They did the whole thing start to finish. And so that's where, I looked at my wife. We were at one of these get-togethers, and I looked at Amber and I said, how hard can it be? I can do better than this. And come to find out, it's way harder. But here we are 3 years later, still doing it.
The great comparison paradox, right? People say you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. It's the thief of joy. And I go, that's bullshit. If people didn't compare themselves to other people, they wouldn't think that they could do any better.
Yes.
It leads to I can do better than that. I want to do that, or I want to emulate that. Competition, business, whether it's business or personal reasons and all other things like that. I can do better than that. Except for me, I don't think I can do better than anybody else podcasting. Like, I'm just like fucking winging it down here in my basement,
No,
and shit
you've
like
already
that.
beat me out with the backdrop and the voice. You're already better than my podcast right there.
Hey, I get a lot of practice with the voice. I went back and listened to my first one. My voice has changed, but I get more practice. All I do is talk now. And so your voice will change. I talked to a medic about that. He's like, well, the more you work it out, the more your muscles will get stronger, if that's a thing. And all I do is work out. So something's changed or something like that. But
you ask my wife, I can't work my voice out anymore. That's why she tells me to shut up so often.
You are a talker. You're definitely a talker. And you have your memory for names is probably at least 300% better than me. You'll be naming people and I'll be just nodding and you'll be like, you know this person? No, man. Of course I do not know that person.
But you do now.
What?
But
yeah,
you do
now
now.
I do. No, I still forget everybody's name. But It's interesting. You have the homestead, and the goal with any homestead, at least in modern times, is to not get on homestead rescue. I think, right? You got to stay above the threshold
Pretty
where
much.
the Rainey family are pulling up onto your, like Gordon Ramsay coming into the kitchen. You don't want the
Right.
Rainey family pulling up onto your property and going, well, this is fucked up and this is fucked up. Do you know what you're doing here? And you're just crying, going, no, I don't know what I'm doing. That's why you're here, obviously. I love that show, by the way. I that's one of my favorite shows.
I have talked to them, and
Really?
I would love to get them to come out um to Mountain Readiness. But I will be honest, if the Rainies, if you happen to hear this, if you would like to come to my homestead and do a homestead rescue, I will gladly have you here. Like, hands down, I will even shed some tears for you if that's what the camera need be. Like, right now, hook me up. Man, they do some good stuff, you know. I mean, I'm good with it. I would love to have the Rainies. But yeah, we've talked with them. Coming next year, we've got some huge names that we are actually talking to, and some that we've signed. So 2026 is going to be crazy, and maybe the Rainies fit into that. You know, I mean, we're working all kinds of angles. I love that diversity. I hate to just focus on one little area. You know, it's like a buddy of mine. He was a speed reader. Have you ever known a speed reader? These guys that are just, they're just flipping pages, and he also had a photographic memory.
Yeah, that's
Nothing.
a level of comprehension I'll never get to.
I do not either. But I said, Jerry, how do you do that? And he says, you see that tree out there? You see that leaf? He said, well, you're looking at that one leaf. I'm looking at all the leaves. That was the best way he could explain to me what he did when he was doing a speed reading. But that's what we're doing. We're not trying to focus on that one leaf. We're trying to focus on all the leaves and all areas and aspects of preparedness and self-reliance, which is kind of a bullshit word, really. Self-reliance. I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but it really is.
If I knew how to rely on myself, I wouldn't need anybody else's help constantly. So
Yes.
it's just like self-help books, right? If
Hmm.
I like, I'm the problem here, lady. It's me. Like, I need less help from me. I need more help from somebody else. Like, no. It's got to be great because when I showed up at Mountain Readiness, I was like, oh man, there's all kinds of shit going on here. And I expected, I'm like, this is going to be a bunch of crazy people. And it was. But they were all very nice. And everybody's like all kinds of somebody skinning animals over, tanning hides over there. And let's see, over here we had a knife maker. And then we had the ferrule rod guy selling some really nice magnesium rods over there. And we just all kinds of shit. A lot of knives, a lot of craft, like bushcraft stuff, skills. There's classes going on. There's people teaching. I got to meet Emery and Carl Erickson. Emery is great, Israeli military. He can
Yes.
command a room. That guy can teach. I could just see it right away in him. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
that dude is a commands presence when he talks to people. He just has it. I question him about it. He's like, no, I didn't know that. I was like, well, all I do is watch people because and I was like, you have whatever it is. And I'm sure that's why you're as successful as you are is because that you have something you're not aware of. But those guys, they're living the life all the time. And it, it's interesting. You've accumulated a interesting group of people and it's only going to get bigger and you like, oh, I wish the Rainies would come out. You'll get if you work at it, you'll get so big that they can't ignore you.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's not. I'm not saying they're ignoring you, but they'll be. Well, if you walk into a room and just act like you've been there, people will eventually assume that you should be there. And you just that's what I'm doing with this. I just showed up and
That's
I just acted like I knew what I was doing. And now people are messaging me, asking me questions like I know what I'm doing. And secretly, I have no idea what I'm doing every day.
it's that there is a huge part of it, and you have figured it out. I think I have, and you're right. It's easy to talk down to yourself, but at the same time, I don't know. I try to straddle the fence on that, just kind of in a gray area. I beat myself up some, but sometimes you need to beat yourself up a little bit to get yourself pulled back up. It's like you said about comparing yourself to others. Man, I think I look at Mr. Nick here with his big old guns, and I'm like, man, I got to start hitting the gym again. That dude's arms are as big as my freaking leg. When I look at and that tells me, hey, it's time to get on those weights again. So I start, hitting the weights a little bit more, getting back in it, trying to clean up my dietary. And I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy to do those type of things. But as far as like with the mountain readiness, yeah, man, we've got a ridiculously awesome crowd. And a lot of that crowd is there because of just demanding attention and being confident. It's confidence. I remember my first conversation with Carl. I mean, this guy, almost 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and all these guys. I've been watching Carl on YouTube for years before I ever even talked to him. And I got a hold of his number through the mill. And I called him up, and Carl, he's that guy. He's like, yeah, what can I help you with? What do you need? I'm like, well, what I need is for you to come to my event, because you're going to fit perfectly and you're going to love it, and everybody's going to love you being there. By the end of the conversation, Carl was like, yeah, 100%, I'm on board. Let's go. If you come in there to that room and you're like, well, first, just let you know I'm a huge fanboy, and like, could you please, if maybe you had the time, maybe come to my event? That shit don't work. You can't come in there like that, especially start working with them big dogs. Those guys, they don't have the time as it is. So if they carve out a little chunk for you, man, you better be bringing that A game, because you got 5 minutes to make that shit happen.
I think it also is, you know, the event's one thing, but you could have take the very same event and have somebody else run it, it wouldn't do well. So when I talk to you and when other people talk to you, you're very just genuine and nice, and you want to help people out, and that goes into it too with the self-reliance. That's not true. It's a team reliance. Like, you got your community, and outside of the community, then you have very little to go on, right? But the people, your neighbors, and the people around you to support you, because homesteading, somebody's suffering on something, this person might have that. It's, then you start getting into like this communal sort of thing. It's not communism, because that doesn't work. We don't need to be tossing people out of helicopters and shit. But, your community helping one another out, and that genuine sort of belief in how that works. Okay. Because you can't learn all this stuff. I mean, I watch, and we go back to the Rainies, right? They seem genuine from the first episode till now. They're a little more refined because they're a little more used to being on camera now. But the amount of knowledge that they're cranking out in an episode, I just like to watch it for that. It's just so much shit. Because, I mean, you legitimately, the guy jumps on the chainsaw and you go, yeah, that dude knows how to cut down a tree, right? And it goes in there with the animals and stuff. So they're actually doing it. And that's one thing with this, with Showcase having an expo and getting all these people together. And it's just bound to get bigger. But like I said, it's all the people that are running things too. Somebody that doesn't know what they're doing and doesn't care, or is looking to make money right off the bat as the number one thing. Money will come later when everybody else is together. Let's be like, then there'll be so many people wanting to get in that you're going to have to limit things. But
you said it right there. It's community. And it's the military and your background and the Green Berets and what all you guys do. That's still community. That's a bunch of brothers and sisters that come together for the same purpose. Everybody has a job. That lone wolf thing, it sounds cool. It was a good movie. That's about it. The Rambo thing, it's just a movie. And life and homesteading, flip 200 years ago. The ma and pa out on the plains with the kids, you can only do so much, right? You can only do so much. You have to have that community. You have to have the blacksmith. You have to have the lumber guy. You have to have the mercantile where you pick up your bare essential staples. That's why I said self-sufficiency is kind of bullshit. It's because self-sufficiency is like, it's a closed loop, right? People's like, "Oh, I'm self-sufficient. I got chickens." All right, well, did you hatch your chicken, raise your chicken? Did you feed your chicken from feed that you grew? Where did the feed for those chickens come from? Did you process the chicken, get the eggs, and then repeat? It's a closed loop. No one can close the loop on everything. They just can't. It's humanly, physically impossible. And so that's why doing something like Mountain Readiness is why I wanted to do this, is because my failures on this homestead taught me more and more of the obvious, that you can't do it all your own. You just can't. You will kill yourself before you can do it all on your own. And God knows I've done enough beating myself half to death. I remember this house, for lack of a better term, was a complete shithole. Like, it looks nice, like right here, but like right over here is like wires hanging out and, purple drywall, and still 10 years later, but the roof on this thing when we moved in, leaking everywhere, buckets. Finally got the money scratched together to put a roof on it. And my wife and I did this by ourselves, because when we moved out here, we knew no one, no friends, no family. We just decided this is where we were going, and one way or another, we were going to make it work. So, that's 90 sheets of OSB. That's almost 200 sacks, or no, yeah, over 200 sacks of shingles, 80 something pounds. I think they're 90 pounds a piece, packing these up and down and doing there's a 3,000 square foot roof. And I used to do roofs by myself, cut my teeth in construction all those years, hanging out with all those Amish, but damn near killed me. And I learned as we progressed for the past 10 years in this homestead. And that's kind of where Mountain Readiness kind of began, was like, you can't do it on your own. You've got to have help.
Yeah. What percentage of, because you're saying you can't get to 100%, you can't close the loop, but what percentage would you say you're at of things that you need that you're able to supply for yourself?
For me personally,
Yeah.
I would say at best, I would be 50 to 60%. Like if the bubble popped right now, the screen goes black, everything turns off. Survival would remind me a whole lot of my first 15 years, being very hungry, and that is, we have fruit orchard, we have garden, we have a spring, we have goats, we have chickens, but the United States is a very fragile place. People don't understand just how fragile this country is, down to our infrastructure of the power grid. I mean, it is completely outdated. Our roadways, our highways, outdated. Most cities, their water supply lines, and it's all outdated. And we've gotten to a point now that people are retiring and there's no one to take their place. you know I can't remember what the actual number was, but they were talking about the grid and power plants, and nuclear power plants, and they are like ridiculously short staffed, and they are scrambling to try to find people to take the place of a workforce that is on their way out. And so when you start thinking about those things, and we saw this ourselves just with Hurricane Helene. I mean, that hurricane came through and it shut down everything in those areas, Spruce Pine, all the areas back there, Asheville. There was people for weeks that they didn't even know they were alive. We didn't know, just communications. There was no communications for a couple weeks, and that was a hurricane. I mean, just think if, God forbid, something happened with some terrorist attack or something on one of these main power grids. Can you imagine a world like if the East Coast just shut down with no power for months? Because I mean, you've lost power. That's a given. We've all lost power at some Hurricane Helene. I think we lost power for I think we lost power 5 or 6 days here, and there was a storm before that. We lost maybe 8 days, and that's brutal enough. But just imagine months on end, no refrigerator, no Netflix, no electric stove, no microwave. I mean, man, what you gonna do without a microwave? Meal. You know, I don't know. That's kind of why I look at it. This is a fragile world, and where I'm at right now, man, it would be rough. How about you? What's your take on it?
The world in general, and Americans especially, um, are very reactionary. We progress at a pretty steady rate as we go. And when something oversteps our ability to react within those bounds, let's say um, civil war, secession, major thing, and then we react and we got to bring the country back together. Huge toll on the North and the South. Reunite the country, right? And then we come into the 1900s, World War One. Shit's going on over there. It's going to start affecting us. We got to go over there and fight too. Cause and effect. Big action, our reaction. Same with World War II. Vietnam, we made that one up. Terrorist attacks, 9/11, action, and then way overreaction, and then 22 years of war after that. All right, now we get into the technology. Are we susceptible? Absolutely. Is there anything the government's going to do about it? Only on the digital level, with trying to stay a little bit ahead of other countries' AI systems. But you know, we spend the most on defense for a reason. A lot of shit doesn't happen here, but global acts of terrorism happen every day. Terrible things happen every day. They're not going to stop it. So, what do I think? You're probably in a much better position than I am. You're at least 60% answer, where you could, if you life or death, you're going to figure it out. Where I'm going to have to figure a lot of shit out. I'm going to get in my truck and start driving north until I get so far north that I don't see people anymore. And then I'm going to start building a log cabin and living in the woods with my guns and my wife and my dogs. Uh, I think the majority of the population will just die. And the government's going to be okay with that until they figure it out. They'll be, if everything goes catastrophic. But I think something will always happen, and we will react to it accordingly, because you can't prepare for everything. So you guys, readiness, right? You're trying to be ready for an array of different things to happen, but you can't be totally prepared for everything to happen. You'd be stressed out you wouldn't want to be. You'd be stressed out to the max all the time. Then you'd be like in your homestead, like Howard Hughes, never leaving the house, just worrying that something's going to happen all the time. So yeah. And that's what all the military is. That's all these other things. We're preparing for the next bad thing to happen, but we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And am I going to worry about it? No. Do I think bad things are going to happen? Absolutely. They happen all the time. They happened last week. Terrible
Oh my
things.
gosh.
And it's
Man.
like, what bad stuff happens all the time. Like, all the time. I can't be ready for everything else, but some of that's my perspective, and like, stuff doesn't affect me as much as it does other people, and that's just how
Mhm.
I am. But I would like to get out to the woods again and have it more of it. But that's a really easy thing to say. That's a very easy thing to say, and then to go do. The episode we're featuring the last 3 days. The guy lives in Kruger National Park in South Africa as a park ranger, right? Living with
Right.
the rhinos and the giraffes and the elephants and shit. That's badass. That job sucks. in reality, but it is badass as well. Like that's a terror.
I don't know. Does it really
But
suck
you
though?
got to go do it. You got to start at the bottom. You're living in a foreign country. You have to go learn that way of things. It would take you 10 years to be a professional at it, and that's having a background and a base. Like you got to work your way up and things like that. So a lot of these things are easy to say. It's easy to say, I need to do this, I need to do that, but then you got to go actually do it. The road to hell's paved with good intentions, right? So, what do I think about it all? Absolutely. You guys are on the right track. Me, I'm not on the right track. I 100%. I am of the camp. I go, if something bad happens, I'm going to react to it, and I'm either going to live or I'm going to die, and I do not care which one. But I am going to try to stay alive as long as I want, or as long as I can. And if I
Well, see,
don't,
but
then that's fine too.
that's preparedness in itself, what you just said right there. Well, but you also have that voice. Like that there could get you out of a lot of bad stuff. Just the voice alone. Every time you talk, I'm serious, Nick. It's like I start hearing it's like, whatever you want. Yeah. I can just hear that. I got that's where that voice is at. But no, you said you're like, I'm just gonna react and I'm just gonna do it. That's mental preparedness right there. And that's something that is lacking huge in this day and age. Like, I really feel like, it's funny you watch television, and I know you've seen all the shows, my friend Alan Kay, Alone. That to me, that show Alone is probably the closest thing you could get to like real world crazy survival, you know. And he even said, some of it's bullshit, but just being dropped off there with what you got on your back, and you just last as long as you possibly can until you can't last anymore. So, but a lot of these shows, it's like, oh, I'm out here and I'm, naked in the jungle, and all you have to do is like, look here, man, you see this? There's a little extra cushion right here, and you look here, guys, put me on that show. Other than bug bites, which I don't have a lot of problems with anyway. This blood is tainted evidently because I don't get bit by much of anything. But I just have to sleep for like 2 weeks. Like that's it. I need water and I just lay there. Calories in, calories out. Exertion. How much are you willing to put into it? I could literally just sleep for 2 weeks as long as I'm drinking water. I'm golden. Like that's all I need. It's kind of a bullshit thing. You're like, oh, I survived to it. No, you didn't. You just starved for 2 weeks. Most people can starve for 2 weeks. That's a pretty given thing. But that mental part of it, when growing up, we saw some really screwed up times, man. I mean, we really did. And I don't know. It was borderline abuse. I'm sure if certain entities of the state saw actually some of our living conditions, we probably would have been taken, if the truth be known. You know, it's but the one thing I learned mentally is, if you don't have a easy button, if you can't just hit the button and say I quit and walk away from it, that's when it gets real, right? And most people never experience that. You know what I'm saying? Like we're at any given time, you're like, you know what? I quit. I'm out. Come pick me up with the helicopter. I'm done. What happens when that doesn't exist? That's when that mental thing is super important.
Yeah, that's my only critique on Alone. I think it should be you can't quit.
Right. Until you're dead. That's
No,
it.
like it's okay. Yeah, you push a button. No, it's life or death. No, you should. I put them 50 miles away from the station they have to walk to if they want
Mhm.
out. And but that's pretty extreme. That no one's ever going to sign off on that. I
I
think
wouldn't.
those people. Yeah, I mean, you would have more people lined up to apply for that version than you would of the regular version, to
I
test
agree.
themselves, but it would never get approved and things like that. But if you put 10 people out there in a situation where they can't quit, I'll bet a higher percentage of them would make it to the end than if they could quit.
Right.
Um,
It
and
is. I mean,
most
because
people are more
mentally,
tough than
yeah,
they give themselves credit for. It's just, the military put me through shitty things so that next time I saw a shitty thing, I would be able to react to it. And, um, That's training. That's training your brain because your body's not going to quit. Your body's going to do whatever it has to do. Your mind will always give up on you. Every single time it'll give up on you. Say, I don't want to do this anymore. We just need to stop and take a break. No, you little bitch. I'm in charge here. And wait, aren't you? If you're in charge, how am I in charge? And then you're fighting with yourself. No, just you got to train yourself to give up. And that's all training is. That's it. And then your body will adjust to whatever your mind can make yourself do. So
If I'm not
people,
mistaken,
people
what is it? It's like, they always say in the special operations community, like when you say you're done, you actually have about 40% more in the tank,
probably.
something like that. Yeah.
This isn't giving any secrets away, but when we did Sear, man, they called Index, and I thought I was tired, and magically, when they said Index, I sprung back to life. I was happy. I had energy again, and it was and it was only we'd been in a rough situation for 3 or 4 days, and they're like, "You're done," and everybody was happy again and had energy. And
Full of
we
energy.
we ran past the cadre to go get that day old chicken to have some food finally and stuff. It's like, and the cadre knew it too. They yelled at us as we ran by. Goes, "Oh, now you guys got some energy, huh? You fucking sandbaggers! You, unless you are deprived of water, which you will, as you said, you will very quickly run out of energy if you don't have water. But as long as you got water, man, you got a month or 2 months in you.
Yeah.
And
I mean, 30 days. There was I can't remember the gentleman's name. Do you remember the guy who fell down into he was like, I don't know if he was up there in Antarctica or something, fell down in one of those crevices, cracks down into the ice. Do you remember the story? The dude
no,
fell like 80 feet, hits the bottom, and he's laying there. He breaks the shit out of everything. His legs are broken, everything's busted to shit. He's just laying there and he can just barely move one of his arms, I think. And people are trying to find him. It ends up the dude survives, and he was down there for almost a month, I think it was. And just he's eating ice, he's just getting ice and chewing on it and trying to make sure he doesn't drop his core temperature down. But of course, the body, it wants to survive. It doesn't care about anything but living. Everybody's like, "Oh, I want to die." But your body doesn't. No matter what you say, your body wants to keep going. It wants to live. And so that's what it is. The first thing, it eats all the fat, then it starts chewing on the muscle, then it starts absorbing important organs. And then finally, lastly, is your brain. And so, but the guy made it like 30 days, that's just insane to think of. No food, just ice to suck on for water, and lived. I mean, he was in bad shape, but 30 days later, when they actually found him, uh, he recovered for the most part, and there you have it. So it's amazing what the human body is capable of.
so all these subjects that we're just dancing, we're going into little different ones. They're all revolve around preparedness and everything. But so taking all that in, what is the Mountain Readiness Expo then? And why is it so important to you for all of these things? Because we're talking about different things, having your homestead and you get your food and your water and all these things. But what is mountain readiness?
Like mountain readiness is it's about getting back to our roots. Like, for thousands of years, we have uh, endured and overcome all these obstacles. It was really cool. I heard somebody talking about, they were like, "Hey, people, you are here because your ancestors were badasses and they didn't fucking die, because they were tough, and now here you are all these 2000 years later, you're still kicking because all your ancestors were not quitters, and they were good at surviving, right? And we have, in this modern day and age, man, we are in this world of instant gratification. Turn on the light switch, hit the button, kick on the Netflix. Oh, I mean, think about a grocery store, man. Like, 100 years ago, I couldn't just roll down to the grocery store and buy a bag of, Frito Lay's potato chips and a steak. Like, and growing up, I experienced some of that. It was one of those, if you didn't catch anything, then you go hungry. And people have gotten away from that mentality. They think that food comes from Wally World and it comes in a prepackaged little thing, and you just pop it out and throw it in the oven or the microwave, and then there you go. There you have it. This is what life is. But that's not what we should be looking at. Like we said, the states are fragile. It's a fragile world, and we need to learn to um appreciate food, appreciate living this life, because we no longer do. We just think that it's just we're supposed to have it. It's supposed to be available. It's supposed to be given to us, you know. But mountain readiness is about teaching people to appreciate everything of this life, because I really don't think we appreciate it as much as we should. I don't really know how else to put it. It's like when you have to till the soil and grow those vegetables, and you spend all those months, that 60, that 90, that 120 days of protecting that plant, that seedling that turns into a plant, that flowers, that blooms, that turns into a vegetable or a fruit or whatever it may be, and then finally you reap that benefit, the of what you sowed. You have that fruit or vegetable sitting on your table, and you cut that up and you eat it. um that's an experience like no other. It's easy to just go down to the grocery store and grab some carrots and tomatoes, right? There's no appreciation there. So that's, I guess, really the main focus point of mountain readiness, is bringing that, for lack of a better term, that sustainability, that self-reliance that really doesn't exist completely, but we are way off base. We need people to be excited about growing their own food. We need people to be excited about raising livestock. We need people to understand that livestock doesn't come from a fast food restaurant, right? It actually was a living creature at one time that you have to nurture and take care of, and then it gives its life for you to keep living. And that's something that people just have lost complete touch of, man. And that's what it's about. I mean, that's I guess that's the best way I could put it.
Yeah, there's an appreciation as well with we're in that instant gratification, and you lose the appreciation for what you have. You go fall farther out of touch with these things, because living on the farm, you get to see the field and the soybeans and the corn and the grows and the seasons. You have an appreciation for time and daylight as well. You can only work so many hours. That used to be, there were no lights and everything. That's why daylight savings time kind of came around, so you could work longer in the field. So the sun was up, the natural sunlight was out longer, so you could be out there longer, and you grow your own food and you appreciate what you're doing and these things. And yeah, it's gone away. And it's nice when you can get it back, and you're around other people that appreciate it as well. I think everybody has that in them as well, because they see it and they go, "Oh, I like that," but a lot of people aren't willing to put in the effort to get there. It's like, just like that thing. It's easy to say a lot of these things, but once you put down family, and you've got ties to where you're at, it's hard to just pick up one day, until you get as frustrated as you got and said, "I gotta get the fuck out of here. Fuck
Done.
this. I am done with this shit." And most people don't get to that point. They'll just have a slightly bad time for many, many years, and they won't go it. They'll just wish they had it all their lives.
Mhm.
And I think another thing that why people need to come out to your show is to see that sort of thing. Because if you don't see it, you it exists, but not in reality. And you don't go out and actually talk to the people, which that skill is lost on people as well today, actually talking to
Wow.
people face to face. So you don't actually go out and talk to people that live in the woods and live in the country. Living in the city or in the suburbs is not the same thing. Like North Carolina, Western North Carolina and Eastern North Carolina are not the same thing. They are
Not
not
the
the same
same.
thing at all.
Not the same thing. No. Now you're right, man. I mean, and it's all the above. I really want people to be excited about um being able to take care of their self again, right? We just live everybody's just this, I used to go to Chicago all the time for systems class because I cut my teeth in construction, and then later on I got into the heavy truck and trailer repair business. I was a diesel tech for years, and so I used to go to Chicago, and I would go to the boroughs. I've got a good friend of mine who is a first generation Russian guy. His family came over on the boat, and he grew up in Chicago, and so we would go to the boroughs, little Odessa, little Russia, little China, town. There's these, 10 square, 12 square blocks. And there's people who have lived there their entire lives and have literally never left that spot. And it blew my mind that you could be so narrow with what you wanted out of life. Like you were talking about moving across the just up and moving. And what happened to us as a people? Like our ancestors jumped in a buckboard wagon and went across the plains fighting the elements and wild animals and dying of dysentery. I mean, it was insane. But that was just like, you know what? We're gonna see what's over here. So let's just jump in the wagon, a few of us, and let's just go. The unknown. Can you imagine? Can you imagine exploring someplace that had never been explored before? It's sad. It's sad that we've gotten to that point.
Also, though, 150 years ago, the world kind of sucked. So if you're uncomfortable and you think you might have a better life that way, you're going to go that way and you're going to go explore it and say, yeah, I'm going to take a chance on that. Uh, the early plains explorations maybe didn't go so hot. And, you know,
Sometimes.
and then the Civil War kicked off, and then anybody left out there, they were kind of hung out to dry and some things like that. So, but the world was a rough place. It's gotten a lot easier to get comfortable wherever you're at. It actually gets easier and easier to get more comfortable all the time. You don't have to leave your house at all anymore. You can work from home. You can I mean, I all this in my basement. I got to go out, go to the gym and things, but realistically, I could some of the jobs I'm trying to line up with what I'm doing now. I'll never have to leave my house if I don't without going to the gym and things like that, other than to pick up more food. So it just gets easier and easier to get more comfortable and more comfortable. And when you get comfortable, you get lazy and you don't want to do anything else. And that's just how it is. You can't deny that because everybody will say to me, "Oh man, I wish." Not everybody, but some people like, "Oh man, I wish I looked like you." Like, okay, well, what are you doing about it? Well, nothing. Oh, okay. Well, can you commit to 1 day in the gym a week? Yeah, I could probably do that. Well, let's start there. How about you just start that? That's all you got to do. 1 out of 7, man. Let's get towards that. So, but people don't do anything unless they have to or they want to, and you got to get them to do the want to, because the have to things, they don't want to do that either. They just have to. They're going to begrudgingly drag themselves along. But the want to thing, oh man, I want to do that. I see that person raising their own chickens. I want to do that. They're more likely to want to do that. They're living out there. That person looks happier. And you go hang around with them. Man, if you want to be stronger and fitter and more in better shape, just go hang around with people that are, and they will drag you into it, subconsciously or consciously. If you want to be better at living out in the woods or raising your own chickens, just go hang around with people. I'll bet they'll be happy to have you around and teach you what they know. They're going to get better at what they know, teaching you the skills that they have and things like that. And that's what's important. You got the thing, and it'll just attract people. It'll just attract people to be like, oh, I'm curious about that. I want to learn more about that. And everybody's so nice. That's what's the nice thing is, and I'll go back to the gym, right? If, if you want to get bigger and stronger, you want to know why somebody got the size they are, walk right up and ask them. I will bet you 99 times out of 100, they will be very happy to tell you. They'll tell you whatever you want to know because they're usually the nicest people in the gym. They're like, oh, fine, somebody's coming to talk to me. Yeah, what do you want to know,
Right.
little man? You know,
Little man. I love it. I love it. You're right. You're right. Because all my gym days of same thing. I know there was always some big guys in there. And yeah, I remember there was one guy, I walked up to the fellow and it's actually his funny story how I met this guy. I met him at the gym and big old dude, barrel chest. Cannot remember his name to save my life. I can only see his face. And he was a bear. He was a beast. And I remember the dude had like 500 pounds on the bar and he's banging this thing off of his chest. And when he racks it, the paint pops off the back of the rack pegs where they're welded. They put the pin through and weld around it. And it just pops the paint off of it. I go over to the guy and I'm like, dude, what do you like wrestle bears in your free time? And it was funny because he had the Mike Tyson voice, He's like, oh no, man, yeah, I just like to work out. I'm like, man, you are a freaking animal. But we hung out and we talked. And I remember, of course, this was my younger days. So we still, the club scene was still part of it. And remember I was at this dance club and I'm sitting there and I take my beer and I throw it down into a trash can. It was kind of like a railing, and then it dropped down, and there was a table. Well, there was about 5 guys sitting there with their backs to me. When my beer hit the bottom of the trash can, it broke, and these dudes jump up and they spin around on me, And at the time, I was in the cage fighting. I was doing MMA fighting. I did that for about 7 years. 7 years I did that. So I was ready to go at any given time. Now with 5 guys, I was getting beat down, but I didn't care. They jump out like, oh, what the hell, man? I was like, hey, look, let's go. Throw my hands up. I'm ready to go right here in the club. Dudes
great
just look at
conflict
me.
resolution right there. Let's go. Instead of,
Exactly. Let's go.
that's my bad, guys. I didn't, instead of just jump
Oh
right
no.
to, I'll fuck
When
you up.
you're young and you're fighting in the ring all the time, like I was a dick, I'll admit it. There's no doubt about it. Like I was ready to fight all the time. And all of a sudden they look at me all weird and they turn around and walk away. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. And I turn around and I run into my buddy. He's standing right behind me. And of course, he's this much taller. And, then of course, womp, 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 pride hurt. It was one of those moments in life where you're like, yeah, you're really not as tough as what you thought you were. You just had a monster behind you. So, but he was one of those guys, always you could go up to him and talk to him in the gym at any given time. Awesome dude, would share all kinds of knowledge. But you're right. That's what people need to do. They need to get outside the box. YouTube's fine. I'm not saying don't watch lesser known operators or Mountain Readiness Live on Monday. But what I am saying is don't just stop there. Get up and go outside and do hard things because that is what makes you a better person.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not as tough as you think you are, ever, ever, ever. There's always somebody going to be stronger than you. You start to think about the projects you're in now. I think about what I'm doing now. There's no way I could do it until now. Do you think about that with Mountain Readiness as well? Like, there's no way you could successfully stay focused until now.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I I am a firm believer, and I'm sure you are too, that we are exactly where we are supposed to be, right? I am where I am at because I am meant to be here right now, right at this point, talking to Nicholas on lesser known operators. That's where I'm supposed to be. You know, no matter how hard I've fought things, like I always feel like I end up where I'm supposed to be at. No matter how hard I fight against, there's been tons of times, man, especially when you're younger. You're like, oh, why, God, why am I here? Why are you doing this to me? And I quit that. I'm just like, you know what? It's going to work itself out. And where I arrive is where I'm meant to be. And so, yeah, that I was meant to start Mountain Readiness 3 years ago. It wouldn't have worked if if I would have tried it 10 years ago. It wasn't the time. It wasn't the time. It wasn't the place. And my wife and I, we have these conversations. She's like, I wish we would have, met when we were like teenagers, or teens, and then, got married young. It's like, man, my wife is a fighter. You met Amber, didn't you? I don't know if you remember, but we were running all over the place at Mountain Race, but my wife is a 3-time combat vet, 2 Purple Hearts, Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait, all over the place, did 9 years in the desert, 13 years total, 6 years LEO. She is a hard ass, but she is mellowed, and so have I. In my younger days, I got hurt real bad. I couldn't, the military said no, so I was like, hey, UFC just started. That looks cool. I think I'll try that. Now, I was amateur level and then semi-pro, but get in there and beat each other's brains out for a couple bucks. And if we would have met back then, we'd have killed each other, bro. That's what would have happened. Like, we would have beat each other to death because we'd have both been too mean to coexist, you know?
Maybe. I think, well, I do say oftentimes everything good and bad in your life is all your fault. Especially
Mhm.
all the bad things in your life are definitely all your fault. You can't stop blaming that shit on other people, and it is all
Mhm.
your fault. I was just at the AT&T store, and the guys, I'm like, I get it. I didn't pay attention. You guys got me. It's my fault. You'll get me next time too, because I won't be listening as well. But I think I think there's some things in life that no matter when you do them, you're going to be successful at them. It's just too it fits too much into who you are. The For me, the SF thing, I did that when I was started the process when I was 23, 24 or something like that. And I could do it now. I if I started the process now, I think I could do it now. All of those traits are still there. I'm more mature. I think I'd be better at it now. Um, would I be in the same place and able to do it? Maybe not. Where life takes you is all kinds of stuff. Some things you're going to be excluded from on when you go down certain paths in life, and you just won't be able to do it. I think certain things you can do them no matter what. You're just that type of person to be able to do them. Now, relationships and getting along with people, that's only going to work at one time when everything comes together, and then you're either going to bounce off and go away, or you're going to, hey, we should be friends. And that's like with anything else, because I don't have any friends from pre-military. I think one, maybe one from pre-military, or two, uh, like from school days. Yeah, one or two that I know from that. Everybody that you know, everybody, especially in your teens, up and through your teens, very few people you're gonna. And if you go into the military, oh, you're gonna lose track of everybody. So it's yeah, with changes. I think I don't know. I don't know if there's anywhere I was meant to be or where I'm going, but with the lineage and your bloodline and everything, you're what was that book? A Short History of Nearly Everything. You are here because your bloodline has never broken. Not one time in the entire history of the earth. Everything fell into line for you to be here. And then I go, well, I better make the most of it now that I'm making good decisions. If you put it into the perspective like that, and you just start going back in time, like, oh God, I better stop being a dipshit and make good decisions now that I'm a little more mature, or make fewer bad decisions. I guess that's the way to
Yeah.
go about it.
Well, I love how you said that, though, is that, 99% of everything good and bad that's happened to you was your fault. 100%, it was self-induced. Like, most everything was a self-induced thing, good or bad. And would you go back if you couldn't remember anything, though? Me personally, no. I mean, where are you at on that? Would you go back if you could just be, but you can't know anything that's happened thus far?
Paradoxical question. Because it is one of my questions that I ask everybody. But there's the "It's a Wonderful Life" scenario, right? I wish
Yeah.
I'd never been born. Uh, so is the decision that I make going to adversely affect other people in their life? That I don't know if I could handle that. Now, would I go back and never have hurt some of the people that I did and am a and really affected people? I might make that decision if I could go
I
back and
mean, you
take
can
away other.
snap your fingers right now and you're 22 years old. But none of this ever happened. This doesn't exist. This conversation never happened. It's just you're 22 years old again. Think I don't know. I've asked myself many times. I feel like the only way I would be okay with going back is if I could if I could take my brain with me. Like if I could take my brain with me and be 22, 21, 23, like if I had this brain and not for the purpose of knowing to buy Bitcoin, right? Like none of that even matters because that's a given. Like hook me up. But I didn't know the winning lottery numbers or anything like that. Just take this brain, put it in 22-year-old me, boom, start living again. Now I would be down with that. I feel like though I would still somehow screw it all up again.
You
And then
100% will. You 100% will. You'll just make even more grandiose failures out of yourself. Like, and you'll be going, man, I really fucked this up
because
royally.
that
I
would
knew what to
it
do
would
and
be
I
an
still did it wrong.
experienced mind and it would even be a bigger fuck up.
Especially from doing the show and talking to people, learning about how little I know about special operation. I have a pretty good understanding of structure and the different units that are out there. But then whether it's on recording or off recording and stuff, the stuff I start learning about that's also going on and that other people are doing and that other units are doing and the training and these other schools and all this other stuff, I don't know jack shit. I don't know anything. And that's just one little piece of the military. And it's just this little corner. Of granted, a lot of the cool shit that's going on, but man, there's cool shit going on all over the world. Just sit at any intersection and just watch every car go by and just there's a story. There's a story. I don't know those people's story. I don't know that. You sit there all day. Every single person that goes by you all day, you will not know anything about them. But 10,000 people that go by you on a busy road, right? Fuck, you don't know anything. And then you start going to the enormity of how much you don't know. Like, I don't know jack shit about anything. So even let's say I doubled, tripled, quadrupled all of the information that I have and went back. I don't know anything. I don't know anything. I mean, at all.
I I had an old boss, one of my bosses, he used to be Amish. Awesome dude. And he is the speed reader. Jerry was his name. And he run a fiberglass fabrication shop. And so I worked for him, but he was way up in age. And he actually said that one time to me. He's like, man, do you know what the definition of wisdom is? I was like, I don't know, getting smarter, like getting old and getting smart. He's like, no, is that realizing that you really don't know shit. That's the definition of wisdom. And it stuck with me. I was like, man, what does he really mean by that? But now where I'm at in life, I'm like, yeah, you think you know everything, and then you get a lower and you know a little less, and then finally you're like, wow, I don't know really much of diddly squat. Um, and as humbling as that is, it's a compelling force as well for me. Like I'm like, man, I want to know more. And just like you said, surrounding yourself with people, that was something I did as a fighter was I never sparred with guys my own size or my own caliber of fighter. I always got beat to shit because I would spar with the guys who were, 30 pounds heavier and been doing it way longer. And so, surrounding yourself with awesome people is how you become more awesome yourself. You know, I think that's the biggest thing that people make the mistake is everybody wants to be the cool guy, oh, I'm the cool one. And when you're young, that's what you're looking for. But as the older I get, man, I want to be the least cool because that means I'm surrounded by people who are doing better, you know. I don't know, that's how I look at it.
I disagree with you on the training side there. I think you should train with better caliber at your size because in the ring, you're only going to encounter your size. And some of those moves that work on bigger people don't work on smaller people, and vice versa at all. So you might learn bad habits training against somebody that's grossly bigger than you. In wrestling, I learned that in wrestling, like wrestling up, that shit don't work. When you go from 160 and like, oh, I'll wrestle in 189. No, the fuck you won't. That is not the same size person. Because that person cut down from 215 and they weigh 212 right now because they got out of water. So I think you can learn bad habits that way, but
Yep.
definitely in theory of it, yeah, you want to surround yourself with the better aspects of things.
It was a lot. It was a lot of different. I mean, we used to do these King of the Ring things, where you just get up in there and you fight until you can't fight anymore. That was
Terrible,
great.
terrible for your brain, mind you.
It
Terrible.
was horrible for your brain, but for everything else, it was amazing. So, but really, is it? I mean, yes, you get all these, bad concussions and things happen, but think about this: like, what has happened to the male species in this day and age? Like, what has happened to testosterone? I'm just gonna say it. It is at its lowest, and I don't think it's just our diet. I think it's because we no longer kill one another with swords. I'm just going to say that. That's what it is. Like hundreds of years ago, you couldn't just run your mouth to anybody. It wasn't allowed because you get chopped. You're catching the tomahawk. You're catching the battle axe. I don't know. That you can just say whatever you want to in this day and age without any repercussion for the most part.
Yeah, go ahead. I go go ahead. It does affect people, but as we said, comfort, right? Your body will adapt. I go lift heavy shit because I want it to adapt because I want to lift heavier shit, which makes the light shit later on lighter and lighter. And it makes things easier on me for the things I want to do. Your body will adapt. If you don't need it, just like falling and having to survive off water, your body will start shutting stuff down if it's not using it. It's if it doesn't need to produce testosterone, it's not going to. It, whether that's evolution or in the short term, it's not evolution, but it's maybe growth, adaptation to conservation of effort, thermodynamics, right? So if if I don't keep using muscle, my body will pare it down. If I don't take in enough calories, I will I'll start losing weight, and that's just how it is. There's not a need for people to be as tough as they were a long time ago. As I said, the world's, I mean, it was hard. Living in a city 150 years ago was miserable,
Yeah.
terrible. You got all the weather, and you're just in these buildings, and no, you don't have power, and there's no fresh food at the market because the roads are closed. Where the people who live in the countryside, at least they got some freedom of movement and stuff and things like that. But we have also technology has outpaced our, uh, I think, our I don't want to say that our level of growth at a at at our level, like humanity, right? Itself.
Right.
Technology and humanity are not on the same plane anymore. Technology went like this, and how can we adapt? Because 10,000 years ago, nothing, like just hunting, small civilizations and things like that. Or it's starting to get into bigger, and then religion is developed, and then we went into the dark ages where technology came back down to zero for several hundred years, and then now it's starting to recover, and we can't adapt to that. Just think of I'm the last generation that remembers not having phones on them, right? And the next one, they
Yeah.
all do. The generation younger than me, well, that's crazy to just be on, connected all the time, and to start learning how to process that. And why are people having such difficulty adjusting? And everybody's got something wrong with them. Well, no shit, everybody's got something wrong with them. We introduced a fucking light that you hold in your hand until 2 in the morning to fuck with your brain. That's designed to turn off when the sun goes down. Of course, people are having. That's just one thing. That's just
Mm-hmm.
what you go, oh man, when I went camping and sun went down and I fell asleep. Well, no shit, you know. uh that's
That
how
was
it's
something
supposed to
that
be.
that I remember very well growing up was sunrise and sunset. Like it's a different world, and how dark actually is. Like people don't realize that, especially when they don't live way out in the country. But growing up, like when that sun came up, you were up because your ass was froze half to death 9 times out of 10. And you yearn to soak in that sun. But it was a great thing too. So watching the sun rise, there's a lot of health benefits of that. Taking in that sun, all that vitamin D, waking up, your brain, that clock, that internal clock, it knows, oh, hey, I see light. Now I even find myself fall asleep in the chair with the boob tube on and, lights on, and you wake up and you're just as tired as when you fell asleep. That didn't happen, back in those days because uh, when it got dark, you may get a lantern or turn a candle on or something, but that was it. But that was something that has always stood out of my childhood is sunrise and sunset. It was it was a rugged, hard, awesome thing. I guess that's the best way to put it. Enjoyed it. Enjoyed the misery.
Fought so hard to get away from it, now you're fighting so hard to get back to it.
To get back to it. And here we are. Here we are.
Here we are teaching people how to chop the heads off of chickens and tan some hide and make a fire. And what else? So let's run through what
Yeah.
what is all the events and everything at Mountain Readiness.
Yeah, for sure. So, like I said before, I want everybody to learn all aspects of preparedness because being a well rounded individual is what it's about. And so, if you grow a garden and you homestead and you have livestock, but you can't protect it, then you are potentially setting your homestead up for failure. So it's homestead protection, it's primitive skills. So we focus a lot on hands-on chicken processing, hands-on pig processing. We even do like some hands-on gardening stuff, hands-on primitive skills. So we get into all those areas, and as well as that's where all you awesome Green Berets come in, and that is defense, homestead defense, even down to tracking. Our good friend Charlie, and of course, and hello Charlie Williams, if you're watching, because we love you. Well, I'll be seeing you here in about a month. Um, tracking. Tracking is one of those things that the Green Berets have used. Of course, Sue and Charlie, masters of tracking, and but it also can help you around your homestead. What's been around my livestock, learning how to track animals and possibly two-legged ones. You never know, but so tracking and the defense side of it, we get into a whole lot of how to run a rifle, how to clean your rifle and then to use it. That's something that blows my mind is how many people in this day and age own firearms and they've never actually really used it. Like how, people talk about ooh, bad firearms. Oh, we can't, we can't, you shouldn't have. The worst thing you can ever do is have something and never use it, never dust it off. And so that's what we do at Mountain Readiness. We want you to dust it off and use the things. If you have a pack that's your get home bag or whatever it may be, your bug out bag, we want you to put it on. And we've even done like a couple mile ruck, like there, test your gear. There you go. Mountain Readiness is test your gear. Sometimes from the shoulders up and from the shoulders down. Don't let your gear just sit there on the shelf in its package and never be opened. Medical, we do a ton of medical classes. We've got homestead medical, TCCC stuff. How to apply a tourniquet. How many people have a medical kit in their truck and they've never taken the plastic wrapper off their tourniquet, right? Which we were doing some of that there in Hickory, which was a great idea. You brought in the medics and we were doing those. I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that because that's the kind of stuff that we're doing here at Mountain Readiness. We want people to get their hands dirty and to actually learn how to do stuff. Don't just have a medical kit, break that thing out, learn what the contents are and learn how to use it. So that's what we've got going on. We even have we've got a guy coming this October that's got he's building EDC slingshots. And so we're going to have slingshot competitions. We've got children's classes, leather make and takes, leather work, hide tanning, freeze drying, food preservation. The list goes on and on and on. Anything to do with getting your hands dirty. And look, you have never, ever, um, you've never been a homesteader unless you've had your hand up a chicken's backside. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's what it's about. You need to get your hands dirty. So come see us.
If that's not a great sales line, I don't know what is. Mountain Readiness. Stick your hand up a chicken's backside.
Yes. And that's a fact. Like getting it out of that package from the store, even if it's raw, there's something about having something that was just walking around and now it's not. It's kind of a mind fuck, but it's a good one. It should be, that's what we try to push is those things that people don't think about. Get people outside the box, man. That's it. Get people out of their comfort zone. Just like you said, being comfortable makes you lazy. Doing hard shit, it makes you smart.
Yeah, speaking of comfort zone, you started off with one Mountain Readiness. Now you're having the wonderful idea to do 3 Mountain Readinesses a year. That's gotta be, how's that make you feel now?
Tired, but fulfilling because, we've got our event this October, the 17th through the 19th. And then 2026, we've already got 3 events booked. We've got our May 1st, 2nd, 3rd event. And then in July, we are going to Montana, right up top above Big Fork, just an hour from Glacier National Park. We are doing Mountain Readiness West. We've teamed up with Joe Dolio of Tactical Wisdom. Awesome guy. Check him out on X. Wrote the Tactical Wisdom book series. A lot of survival stuff, a lot of primitive skill stuff. So we're going to be doing that in Montana. Then next October, we will be doing a big, huge event. We haven't announced it yet, but that will be coming out on the website here towards the end of October will we announce what all we've got going on. But it's huge. And then 2027 in March 2027, we have just booked Mountain Readiness Texas. So we will be heading down to Texas the first of 2027, as long as the world tarries. And then if that's the case, then that means we have Texas March, and then May, Harmony, North Carolina. And then if Montana works out, July, Montana, and then October. And then we're just going to start putting dots all over the map, man. Bring it to the people.
Ah, I love it. I love it. Start with something and then don't let off the pressure. until you get where you want to be. Where do you want to be with it, though?
Everywhere,
That's
everywhere. I want
unsustainable. That's not sustainable.
it. Well, it is. It is if you have a great community that you work with. I mean, the bigger you get, as long as you keep your core solid. And, I was a regional operations director for a huge uh, heavy truck and trailer repair company. That was what I did for the last 9 years when I moved down here. And I was in multiple states, service trucks all over the place. We did road service. Road service sucks, by the way, guys, but it's a great paying job. And I had an awesome crew. Like, the people that worked for me were amazing. And we had worked from pretty much from day one. And that core is what kept us at the top of our game. And then another company bought us out, and people started leaving and being replaced with other people. And the next thing you know, it dissolved. Now I just found out that, they've been rebranded, and almost all the people that were there with me are no longer there. And so it's about that core group. If you keep that core solid, we never took a customer on unless we knew we could take care of that customer 110%. And I think that's where people mess up in business. They bite off more than they chew. They promise more than what they can do. What is the saying? Under promise, over deliver. That was our goal. Is we never took on anything that we knew we could not perform at 110%. And so I am going to grow the Mountain Readiness platform as long as we are performing at 110% at every single one that we do.
Yeah, as long as you just get 2 more porta potties over by the food trucks.
And that there was a learning experience that's already going to be fixed for this next one. And it was crazy though.
Fucking better
that
be.
that was but at the same time, if that is as bad as if that's the worst thing that happened, man, that was a win. That was a win. It was
The
kind of
worst thing
nasty
that
though.
happened was the shower at 7 a.m. that was negative 42 degrees water. That was the worst thing.
Was it really? It's crazy, man. I went over there because a bunch of people said that, and I turned it on and it was hot water. Like, I could not figure out every single time. I know. I'm just letting you know. I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just like, I'm not sure how it happened. Because I went over there, I was like, man, that's hot. Or maybe
That
it's
was
because
free
I
cup of
take cold
coffee right
showers.
there. No, it was a little chilly. It woke me up. I was ready to go. Ready to go.
But hey,
after that,
through suffering, you were a better person when you walked out of that cold shower.
nope.
Yeah,
Nope.
absolutely.
Nope. Nope.
You came out of
I was
there
just
and
more awake.
you appreciated your coffee way more when you walked out of that shower. You
No, I had to
appreciated
go
the
buy a
warmth of the
coffee. It
sun.
cost me $4 because of that cold shower. I wasn't going to have a coffee before. No, I'm kidding.
It was rough, but no, I agree. We need to, we've added those to, like 200 people extra showed up. Like, we didn't even anticipate it. It was nuts. There was only supposed to be like 800 people. And then last second, like 200 more people showed up, which I'm not complaining. I loved it, but it did stress the Porta Johns just a little bit, just a wee little bit.
That's all right. That's all right. Now, the start of all this, I mean, you started because the first event was in 2024, right?
23,
23.
23,
Okay.
May of 2023, I believe it was. Yeah.
And you did 1 your first year, and then 2 the
Yep.
second year, and then now
No, I went straight into 2.
straight into 2.
Like
Okay.
a idiot, just a straight idiot.
Would you if you had to do it over again, would you start with 1 then go to 2?
I say that I would have, but nah, I would have still done it. Like, I'm this man, it's horrible. I'm this bulldog when it comes to this stuff. And it's a two-edged sword, right? Like, I'm just like jump in both feet, 100% committed, but Sometimes a little pre-planning would have probably been better, but, it's just not my way of doing things. I don't know, I'm like, "I am going to do this and go," and then I just figure it out as I go, and that's how we did it. It was funny, our first Mountain Readiness, we were a month out from the event, and we bought our first ticket. We thought something was messed up on the back end of our Wix, right? And so we purchased our very first ticket to our first Mountain Readiness, and then it goes through, and then there's this horrible feeling in my pit of my stomach, and I'm like, "Oh no, we have no attendees." And so back to the phones we went, and then we met Chris Weatherman, and then started talking to more people, and we ended up with 500 people at our very first event. But our ticket, I paid taxes twice on my first, the first ticket sold to Mountain Readiness. So, but here we are. It worked out.
Yeah. Some of those things you have to be, because you can overdo it and still keep it at a high level, then that's okay. It's when you're going off a cliff and we're going to sacrifice 50% approval or 50% of the quality, then that's unsustainable. But so that takes us to now. Let's talk a little bit about North Carolina Hickory, man.
Yeah.
We obviously know we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary of the hurricane coming through, and that's how we all got together. That's really what put me back on the feeling useful again, was going down there
Mhm.
and just walking in. Hey, I'm here to work. What are you here to do? Whatever the fuck you need me to do, Charlie. What's your background? I'm just like you. Oh, okay. And that was it. Now we're friends. So
Yes.
going down there and just working for another Green Beret and running into all these other people doing these great things, I just thought that was such a cool thing to be part of. And man, I don't want that to end. Like, to helping people or at any level. And
Yes.
so I'm trying, this is harder than I thought it would be, is getting people. Oh, this, so it's very easy because you saw it when we were down there, is the negative press was all you could hear about. And I'm going, man, there's so much good shit going on. Why? There is so much good shit going on. And I get it. You got to highlight some of the bad stuff so it gets attention, so it gets remedied, right? But
Right.
that's all you heard was all of this bad shit that's going on. And so now on the 1 year anniversary, I'm trying to gather up all the information I can on what Green Berets and former Green Berets did in North Carolina when the storm came through, in the time and then the few weeks afterwards, and then up till now. I'm having a tough time, man. I'm having a tough time because I know what's going on, and getting people to give me like information that I can put out and like get on the phone with me. Um, so that's my next project for in October, is to put out a segment on what
Like a one
people
year.
from my 1 year recap.
Yeah.
But you've been there the whole time. Have you been in because you have to have a lot of friends over there. What's it like in Western North Carolina now, a year later?
You know, and I don't want to. I'm not going to put it in a this negative connotation, man. I'm not going to be negative about it because a lot of great things have happened. I will say that a huge amount of the great things that are happening are being done by people helping people, right? And so what we were doing was a necessary thing there in Hickory. Um, and Charlie, like you said, man, Charlie is like the salt of the earth to me. Like, Charlie Williams is one of those dudes. Like, when you meet him, you have to like the guy. The dude is just awesome. And the same with you. Maybe it's just a Green Beret thing. I don't know. But
No, it's the
you know,
version of me that you've met now. I was not this way.
well,
I used
you've done all right. You came full circle, and I felt just a kindred spirit with everybody there. And it was really awesome. And that hickory thing, it was hard. It was hard, but helping people, that's what Mount Readiness is about. That's what lesser known operators, that's what you're doing. It's about helping people. It's about trying to uplift people. And here in North Carolina, there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be rebuilt. There's a lot of fighting still going on. There's mining companies down here that's trying to they'll mine a bunch of stuff, and they've got shell companies where as soon as they put a judgment to cease and desist to stop, the next one comes in. Whenever something catastrophic happens, there's always this group of people who just worry about money. You know how it goes. There's always this group of people, they don't care about anyone. But then you have all these other people like you and like Charlie and the people that we worked with while we were in Hickory that are helping each other out. We have some friends down there in Spruce Pines area. Stephanie, she is actually a nonprofit that they are building houses for the people of that area who lost their homes during Hurricane Helene. And I mean, building them brand new homes. The truth be known, the homes that they're getting are like 10 times nicer than the homes that they had before it happened. It's crazy, but it's just this seeing community. It's just like what we're trying to do here with Mountain Readiness. What you're trying to do is seeing communities come together when there's hardships like this and help to build each other up. So there's a lot of stuff that still needs fixing down there. I mean, there's a lot of areas there's a lot of people who still don't have homes. And they're struggling. But all in all, I think the neighbors and the community have come together and they've made it work. They've made it happen. So I personally, I mean, it was rough there for a while, but the last time I was over there, man, a lot of cleanup has happened, and you see less and less of what's going on. But I think it's mainly been because of neighbors and community.
Yeah, terrible. The devastation is, you got to be down there to see it, to look at it, and things like that, to actually understand. Because like, oh, it rained, a hurricane went through. Like, I don't know if you understand. And there's
Yeah.
no comparing. There's no comparing the two. But listening to some of the other people tell stories about who had worked the Katrina hurricane and then worked this one,
Hmm.
and they went, well, they're separate things, but at least in Katrina you could get in a helicopter and you could go anywhere. Here you can't go anywhere and do anything unless you're walking, and that was for months. What a
Yes.
interesting, terrible, unique experience. And yeah, all of the meaningful change is going to happen at the low level. And I want to try and highlight some of that. And I don't even want to name people. I just want to tell the story to be like, and get to people, go, hey, there's so much good shit coming from my community that happened out there, of people that took their own time to go to do their own thing. And I just want to tell people some stuff about that. But yeah, it was such a bummer while we were down there to, all the anger and thing focused on FEMA, and my cynical ass
Hmm.
going, listen, guys, the government's not your friend. Like, if you expect the government to save you, you're going to be waiting a long time. They've failed at every. That is one thing that it's not funny, but it is, man, they failed at everything they've ever tried to do except killing people. But this is the time they're going to succeed. This is the one where they're going to shine the light, and then everybody looks at them and they go, "Ah, we dropped the ball. They'll get it next time." You know.
you know, shame on us though, right? Shame on us for looking to Big Brother all the time. Like, I don't want to say it like that, but at the same time, man, like I think that's our problem. And that's why I think it's so important for us to try to get back to our roots and be able to take care of us, because as well as I do, in this day and age, when anything happens, whether it be natural disaster, civil unrest, whatever it is, it's always, why didn't the government get here and save us faster? You know, I mean, being as a firefighter, we did a lot of, we're dispatched for a lot of car accidents, and people don't understand you are your first line of defense, right? And your community, because whether it be police, EMS, fire, whatever it is, we have to get to you, right? And so everybody's sitting here, oh, the government, why didn't they help us more? I'm not saying they're good. I'm not saying anything of it. Good, bad, doesn't even matter. At the end of the day, shame on us for always thinking that someone else should save us, right? I mean, that's where I'm at with it. I think we should be responsible for ourselves to a certain degree here, because, um, I mean, I personally am. I make sure that I have what I need. And, Hurricane Helene was a little bit different. There was a lot of people who the flood just washed everything away. But there is a point too that why didn't you reach out to your neighbors beforehand to try to be cool and make that community? People get in this mindset, like you said, you can just hole up in the basement and turn the world off. And I'm horrible about it. I'm like, man, I'm on the back 40 here. I don't care about nothing. I'm just going to stay here by myself. But that's a horrible way to be when it's all said and done. We cannot grow as individuals if we limit ourselves to just staring at four walls. We have to get out and interact with other human beings in order to make ourselves better people. And part of that is just challenging ourselves with other people. You can't do that. You just grow stagnant and stale if you lock yourself away and close yourself off from the world. So, the government, no doubt, their interests, I don't share a lot of the same interests as they do. But at the same time, I feel like people have become too dependent on Big Brother to save them every time something bad happens.
Yeah. Man, they take a lot of money out of our check just to fucking drop the ball every time, don't they?
That is true as well. That is true. I would like to keep some of that money and then just handle it myself if they would let me do
I would
that.
just waste it. I would just waste it all. I waste the money I do keep. I'd waste that money too. I would just throw it all away. Uh, and I look at it as I only have really one goal left in life, and that's to live as long as possible to get as much of that tax money back from the government, from the VA, my VA disability, as long as I can. There's nothing would piss me off more as I go in the next couple of years and I'm dying and I go, oh my God, I wasted all the VA benefits.
You
I
son of a
could have got more
bitches.
out of them. That's really all that's left. But a lot of people don't have that. Recruiter's office is open to everybody. There's still time, but yeah,
Right.
they take a lot of money from the citizens to really fuck things up, uh, and then really not stand up for themselves either. Just to like, this is bad. Let's make it worse. Let's make it worse, and it's too bad.
Yeah.
But from the North Carolina side, man, I was quite impressed from sitting in those meetings and seeing everything. I was very happy to see that and to be back in North Carolina, because that's the home of special operations, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And to go
Yes.
back and for that to happen, hop in the truck, drive down there and feel like I was giving something back to the state of North Carolina that gave me everything. I think in my mind, let me become the person who I thought I could be, and to give back into that. And then I just want to highlight some of that going forward. And a lot of good shit happened. A lot of cool, good shit came out of a really bad situation. And I hope it comes back. Will we learn our lesson? No, the government won't. No, they're going to fuck things up on the
No,
next
not a
thing.
chance.
But maybe some people will be a little more prepared for the next hurricane that hangs out in the mountains and does
There's
some
always a
damage.
next. There's always a next. And that's,
Yep.
you know, I thought, we should not, you can't live your life in fear. Like if you become paranoid with what you're doing, if you're just like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta get this ready, that's not a life. That's not a life. But But at the same time, you should be making every conscious effort without stressing yourself, without being a big worry wart to be prepared. I mean, down to, do you carry a spare tire in your vehicle? Like people are so out of touch of taking care of themselves that, oh, I have a flat tire. It's funny. My wife, when she was law enforcement, I would call her and be like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Hey, I have to call you back. I have to help this guy change his tire." I'm like, "What? Like, help this guy change his tire? Are you serious?" I mean, quite often. And I'm like, man, is that where we're at with as a society? Like, people don't even know how to change their tires anymore. But that's the truth. That's the truth, So, but you're right. A bunch of awesome stuff transpired, and part of it was us meeting and hanging out, and now here we are, almost a year later, on the lesser known operators. So, good comes from everything, man. You just got to look at the positive side.
Yeah, and the positive side, um, man, I had 1,000 followers when I came out to see you guys in May, and on all platforms now, I got, like, 15,000 followers or something like that, and, any way that I can help you guys, easiest way when people, they're like, because guys have nonprofits and they have things. I go, the easiest way for me to help you is to record an episode. And I said, do you want to just come on and we can talk about it? Because I'll make the clips out of this and people will
Yeah.
see that and we'll go on the Mountain Readiness page. That's the easiest way for me to help the people that believe in me. And any way that I can help you guys and Charlie as well, and especially North Carolina, I'm all about it, man. Because it's not just special operations. Like there's people all over. I'm the result of a lot of people, um,
Right.
and I've just put it all together, and I'm trying to apply it in a way that's beneficial for me and my family. But a lot of people that are in the army, not in the army, never served, they believe in me all the time. I don't believe in me like half the time. It's a constant up and down all day long. If I can take over the world and I'm the biggest piece of shit that ever lived, and somewhere I'm in between all day long. Even when I record, I bounce up and down, going, "Oh yeah, I should be doing that," and then go, "No, I got
Mhm.
this. I know what I'm talking about." Sit back and say, ask the questions, Nick. You know how to conduct an interview, but
It's a mighty struggle, man. Like, listening to what you're saying right here is just like me every single live, and unfortunately, like, I was stupid. I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna do lives. That way, when you screw up, you can't
psychopath.
undo it."
Psycho. That's
You
somebody
know?
said that to me. They're like, "Is this live?" I said, "Only psychopaths go live. You have to be a psycho."
Yeah, you have to
Um,
be a complete nut job. And that's what I do every Monday night at 8, like, live. And it's this roller coaster. Like, people don't understand, like, this world. Like, I despise social media. I mean, I really do. I can't stand it. Everybody's like, "Well, you post all this up." Man, I hate it. I despise it. I love the fact that it reaches people, but I despise doing it. I can't stand hearing myself speak. My headphones right now only are plugged in to hear you. They're not the style where I can hear myself speaking and stuff too, because it drives me insane. I'm like, who is that hillbilly son of a bitch talking on there? Like, just drives me nuts. But what you're speaking, what you're talking about, this roller coaster thing is like, oh yeah, that question kicked ass, And then the next one, you've got this question, you're writing it down, you're like, yeah, this is gonna be a great question right here, and then it comes out completely fucked, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst podcaster in the freaking world. I cannot believe. And on live, you can't undo that, right? Like, the question has been asked. You got to figure out how to go with it. There ain't no editing that sucker out. But it's rough, man. This is a rough world. And there's so many so many really good people out there on these podcasts. Like, there's a lot of people out there to compare yourself with. And so it becomes a really hard thing to keep yourself in the positive light. I struggle with it. But what I think is really cool is how fast you've grown since last May. And I love that before May, we were there in Hickory, and I'm like, man, you really need to come to Mountain Readiness. I mean, shoot, we got half of Fort Bragg is there, you know? And you're like, yeah, yeah, I should. And then right before May, you were like, oh man, Toombs, I'm sorry, but like, I just got so much going on. I'm not going to be able to come down. I'm like, no, no, you're not going to say that. I already made a Canva. It took me 3 hours to make that Canva, bro. You're going to come and you're going to have a good time. You're going to meet a whole bunch of awesome people. And then you're going to leave and you're going to do great things. And then you come and you had a great time. You met all these awesome people and interacting. You left a positive um you left a positive on all those people that you met as well as they did on you. And now here you are. And I think it's awesome that, there was that fight and struggle before the event where your half of you was like, no, I'm just, it's just not going to work. I'm just going to stay. There's just too much going on. And then now we see where you're at now. And I'm like, boom, amazing. That's what it's about. That is what it's about, man. Makes me happy to see where you are at right now. And I know in a year you'll be 10 times this, man.
I agree. I hadn't left the basement yet, so I was scared of packing all my stuff up and going and trying to keep things going. And man, when I was down there, I still did the same work out of my tent after we would roll it because I'm not drinking. Everybody would, when they'd bring out the booze, I would just be like, hey, the conversation's not for me anymore because everybody's drinking and I just ain't about it. So I'm going to go. I just sat on my air mattress with my pillows and I popped up and put my hotspot on and I just did all my work for the next day out there in the tent. And I was like, man, if I can do this in the tent, I can do this anywhere I have cell service. And I've done, I think, 3 jobs. I've gone and worked away from the house, more than one day away from the house. I I can have all this, my whole studio in the truck in an hour and out. And yeah, so that was the first time I'd left and to go and work outside of it. But now I'm seeing, oh, I can hit the road. So I think I'm not committing, but I think I will be at Mountain Readiness here in October. I'm going to, I
Sweet.
believe I'm starting to put the plans together. So October 1st, I'm going to get in my truck and start driving to do on-site uh, interviews, but a different style. So I'm waiting farther into the year so the sun will be down earlier so I can get these because I
Mhm.
want to do them around a fire pit. So I'm
Oh
gonna
man, that'll be awesome. That's a
so I'm
great idea.
I've got my stainless steel solo stove, not the real big
Mhm.
one, but this about like this. It's going in the truck. I've got my chairs. They're going in the truck. I'm gonna put all my tent and all my stuff in there. I got the crew cab, so if I have to stay in the truck, but I'm gonna put out a map and I want to record every night somewhere else. And then tonight I'm testing my first. I'm gonna go light a fire, put my camera or my phone up with this mic off my phone, and I'm getting a better phone tomorrow. I'm getting the new Galaxy, which has an even more amazing camera. So I'm gonna have this mobile setup, and I want to go somewhere new every night and record a podcast by the fire with friends. And I want to hit the big loop. I want to go all the way to Bragg, down to Florida, to seventh group, out to 10th group and first group, and I want to go to all the groups and go see people and record. I want to do like 10,000 miles on the truck. So
Man.
in October.
See, and that is why you're going to do great things. You've already have, but now you're going to do even greater things. It's like the movie Troy, The dude- what when he's up on the horse, he looks down and he's like, this is why you will never be people will never say you're not. You have jumped on the horse, you're gonna do great things, man. And that's a great idea. I think that's phenomenal. Like
Yeah,
campfire chats. That's awesome.
I'm gonna test it out tonight. I this this has its limitations. Uh this because this is like a Zoom style meeting, but my guest is relaxed. They're in their house. I
Right.
This is around the 100th. I think this is the 101st, 102nd recording I've done. So
Wow.
I've been able to get 300 hours of practice in 8 months, in about 8 months. So, that's a lot for
That's a
a
lot.
first year show. So now I feel like now I can sit I was like, I can just comfortably go have a conversation. Alright, so what am I gonna do with this skill that I've built myself? Man, I would really like to go sit next to people, but I don't like the clipping mics to a desk. Like, man,
Mm,
when do we have the best conversations? Oh, man, sitting around a fire. Ah, it's
absolutely.
always. If I can just get my stand and my phone on there, charged up. These phones have excellent cameras. This mic is excellent. It just clips on your thing, and we just sit and stare at the fire and record an hour and just talk. And I'm gonna fill the truck with root beer, crack a couple of root beers, cold root beers, and
You know,
that's my
everyone
yeah.
says that's what they love the most about Mountain Readiness. You know, everybody wants to learn and do all the things, but after the day is over, you know, just sitting there around a campfire, chatting it up, man, that is living. To that My childhood, that was the best part of the day, was the campfire when the day's over. It's I don't know why that is. Something about it, flames flickering and watching that fire. It's just the most relaxing, um, fulfilling time I think I've ever had was around a campfire. So what you're talking about, I mean, that's you nailed it. That's a great idea, man. That's I think you I don't think I've seen anybody else doing campfire recordings. I think that
Maybe because it doesn't work. We'll find out tonight when I fire it up.
I think it will. I think it will. I think it will.
So I gotta get the camera, but these phones are so advanced, and I and the simpler the better. With some of these things, a lot of things are complicated, and I I mean, I'm making this whole thing out of very simple products and processes. Yeah, I've had to manipulate some software and some things, but it's just talking to people. That's the weird thing, right? As I'm making money off of talking to people, but to
Right.
make money to sustain the other things I wanna do. And so, um, you're right. I don't think anybody is doing it. I hope nobody starts doing it. I'm I've been thinking about it for months now, how I wanna do it, and by the time I start something, I've already thought about it so much that I'm ready to go. I will be ready to go October 1st, whether I have a plan or not, and I'm just gonna react to whatever comes up.
Yeah.
I've told a
See,
couple
we're on it.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're the same. We do a lot of the same stuff. Like that was you know, on the construction jobs and out in the field doing the mechanic wrench thing. It was like um it's weird, but I'm the same way. I will do something 1,000 times over in my head before I ever physically touch it. Like, and I've always been like that. And for some reason, it just feels like second nature at that point. Even if it's something I've never done before in my life, I've done it in my head so many times, it's like I've already done it. Now it doesn't work out exactly the way, you know, that I thought it would sometimes, but usually for the most part, it is very close facsimile. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you'll kill it, man. You'll kill it. You'll kill it. It'd be awesome.
and there comes in that ability to be uncomfortable, right? Oh, man, if I wanna do this, but, yeah, I'm gonna have to live in my truck. And then I go, who fucking cares? Like, like, that sounds fun, you know? We get this
Yeah.
tent out, this thing, like, we go do that, we'll live on the road. What are we gonna eat? Oh, figure it out, man. Those fucking we're gonna hit Costco, we're gonna get the protein powder like we always do. We're gonna have plenty of water. We're gonna have all you got the truck, you can fill the truck up with stuff, we'll figure it out. We're gonna figure it out, and but, maybe that's what it is.
You are literally getting into your modern day buckboard wagon. You realize what you're saying right now, right? That is
Man,
what you are doing. You are getting in your modern day wagon. You have no idea even where you're going. You just know that you're going somewhere else, right? So,
I read something the other day, you know who Mr. Beast is?
yeah,
He had something he said, the purple cow theory, right? Is the reason he's so successful is because he does things that nobody's ever seen before. And I read that and I can't stop thinking about it. Like, I'm
Mhm.
making a product right now that people see quite a bit of, they hear quite a bit of. Man, what if I can make something they've never seen before? And that's all I can
Yes.
think about. It is, and you're doing the same thing, with the way you're doing it and the way and the things like that. And I cannot stop thinking about it at all. Um, what can I do? Because now I feel like I'm dangerous with the skills, and not like in a danger to other people sort of thing. I'm in the field. I have I'm forcing myself to learn something. I don't know for what though yet, but I know I got this thing in my head. Like, I want to do good and I want to help people, but I also want to do something nobody's ever seen before. So now I got to push all that together. And then the other day I made a post, and it was of an image that was in my head. I couldn't find anything on the internet. I couldn't anything, right? There was nothing that was this image in my head. And so I posted, I made an AI image and I posted it, and, 30, 40,000, 50,000 views, right? And I was like, you know, man, if these little things are floating around in my head, eh, they're floating around in other people's heads. So then I was like, you know what I do? What's something weird I do? I'll go onto Google Maps and I'll look at Camp McCall out there in North Carolina where all the Green Berets train. And so I just screenshotted the aerial view of the camp, of the airport and the camp out there. I got like a few 100,000 views, right? Oh man, so a lot of people are thinking these same things. And
Mhm.
so what am I thinking about that I'm pretty confident that other people like me are thinking about? They just haven't put into action. And man, it all comes back to we all sit around that fire and we all have these great chats. And man, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, but it's gonna be cool whether it's good or not. Like,
Nah.
I'm gonna have a cool experience.
You've nailed it. You've nailed it. You lesser known pioneers. That's what this is right here. Pioneering off to the you I mean, you put it all together that you are in the modern day buckboard wagon, and then you stop and you're around the campfire. The only thing you need to throw on top of there is a pan of beans, bro, and you got it whipped.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's, and the other thing, you're gonna gather up people for me at Mountain
Yes.
Readiness, and where I can say, "Hey, put me way off where nobody can hear me,"
Yeah.
and I can put my little campfire out, go to the store right around the corner from Harmony, go buy a big bundle of wood from that guy for an overpriced amount of money, or just go into
Oh
the
hell.
woods.
I bring you a pile.
There we
Got you
go. We'll
covered.
schedule this, and then I can just grab a few people. Hey man, let's
Yeah.
go record for an hour and just bullshit. You want a root beer? And we'll just make some stuff, and we'll see. And if I
We
throw a
have a
month at
great
it, and
We've got a great group too. That just October is always our smaller event. It's more of a camp out, like it is. There'll be a few hundred people there, unless like people see this and all of a sudden there's 5,000 shows up. Which I mean, I'm good with that too. Everybody come on. But with it being October, the leaves are changing. The air is cooler. It's got that crisp feel, and campfires are it's the main focal. It really is. It's a big camp out of like-minded people that just want to learn and learn from each other, to hang out and learn from each other. There's a great group though. I mean, we get you. You were over there by NC Scout, Matt Brushbeater, and he'll be back. He's going to be there. Joe Dolio with Tactical Wisdom, and there's quite a few that you will mesh very well with. And I think this is phenomenal. This is a phenomenal idea right there, where you got your three spears that just drop a covered wagon right there behind it. Like that's your throw that into the logo, because that's what you're doing. You're pioneering to unknown territory right here.
we'll see, man. We'll see. I feel like I can overshadow my previous accomplishments with where I'm going, but I don't know how to get there yet. So we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out together. I usually wrap these up with 3 or 5 questions, but they're generally military centric. But in your case, we're going to go to mountain readiness, and I've got one specific question that
All
applies
right.
to you and where you live. Uh, is there a Sasquatch where you live, and how is he doing?
Man, I'll be honest, I've never seen it. If if it's out there, and I will tell you, there are people around here who say it's legit. I have personally not seen one. I've not even heard anything. I will say that I think we have big cats. They say that we don't have big cats in these area, but I was on my porch a few years back and there was a little deer that had wandered off from its mama and it was doing this high pitched shriel. They'll do these weird high pitched shrills, and then all of a sudden something just run in. It's pitch black out here. Like, yeah, I mean, you can't even see your hand in front of your face some nights. And then all of a sudden it was just boom, dead quiet and gone. And ain't nothing moved that fast. But it could have been a Sasquatch as well. Could have been Squatch. I don't know. That's the only thing I've seen thus far. Uh, but I wander around in these woods at night quite often, and I've seen bear and stuff like that, but I've not seen the Squatch. Not to say that it's not there. I do, however, when I am wandering around, I wander around usually with my M4 and a thermal on it and my PVS 14s just for the sake of training purposes, because what's the point of having equipment if you don't actually train with it and use it, right? So, but no, I've not seen any Sasquatch. What about you? I mean, I know we were into this. Have you ever seen anything like that?
No, man. No. I got the shit scared out of me by a bunny rabbit once during land nav. Um, And then another time when I went out to land nav, I watched the movie The Village before I went out. That's a terrible
Oh,
idea if you ever
yeah,
get the
no,
chance.
no.
I know there's some people that listen to all of my episodes that are prospective Green Berets. When you go out to land nav, don't watch The Village before you go out there. You'll have a much better time. Man, I was staring off in the dark going, I know there's nothing out there, but I'm still scared. You fucking
Oh, yeah.
pussy.
Well, man, I just have to tell you once again, though, I am so thankful that we met. I appreciate so much you bring me on this show because and like you said, yeah, I love the asset part of it, but it's an honor. It's an honor, and I thoroughly have enjoyed seeing the transformation from Hickory till now. That of where we both got, of where we both, our accomplishments. So, thank you sincerely from the bottom of my heart, man. I really appreciate it.
It's an honor. It really is. Any way I can help anybody else, because that's how I've made whatever on the social media side. That's how mine was made possible by people helping me out. So it just one thing though, just make sure you're staying up on the posts and tag me in the posts so I can share them to my stories. That's just free advertising if I can share it to my stories, because a lot of people or more and more people are watching them, and then it fluctuates who they are. So you could have like 1,000 eyes a week looking at that, and if you convert 1% of that, that's pretty good.
It is. It
So
is. I absolutely will, man.
all right, brother, I appreciate you coming on. How can everybody find you on the socials if they so choose?
Absolutely. www.mountainreadiness.com. Looks like that right there. Flee to the mountains. That's what it's about. And Facebook, Instagram is both Mountain Readiness, at Mountain Readiness. And on Twitter, it's Big T at Mountain Red. Somebody got Mountain Readiness. I don't know who got that one. And I'm even on TikTok, as sick as that may be. And that's Big T 77 because I couldn't get Mountain Readiness on that platform as either. So the TikTok, like, it's a little sickening. Don't join it unless you like watching stupid videos. Some stuff is really good, some of it not so much. I may or may not have done like the Nicki Minaj post holding my turkey and stuff. I mean, yeah, I get a little stupid sometimes too, but that's where you can find me. That's it.
That's okay. That's okay.
He's like,
I
that's a
I will
mouthful.
not I will not be on
I am so
TikTok
sorry that
anytime
I
soon.
asked him that.
No, I mean, if you convert, man, a 1% conversion rate of the people that see your stuff is excellent. So that's what I shoot for. So if
Awesome.
if you don't have your logo out in places, nobody's going to see it. I put out funny stuff. I put out fitness stuff. I put out actual good content. I put out inspirational stuff. Gets the message out there. And then if people come in and see what I'm all about and they hang around, that's even better. So whatever.
Awesome.
It's all the
Bravo,
process.
brother. Bravo. Keep up the
Rob,
good work.
I appreciate you coming on. And as always, bye everybody.